What up guys, and welcome to this unique episode of the Fishing Forecast, where I'm going to show you how I modified my Ascend FS12T fishing kayak into one of the best kayaks I've ever fished on. Stay tuned. Alright, so here she is, the FS12T by Ascend. Now this kayak is around, I don't know, 650 Canadian, brand spanking new, or at least it was. But here's a hint, go in the spring to Bass Pro, and they usually have them on clearance, and they'll give it to you for a stupid good deal. Now the first thing I added on to my kayak is the fish finder. I put on the Lowrance Elite 4X, and I put on my GoPro mount. Those are the first two things I actually put on before I did the trolling motor, before I did anything else. And of course, this is probably my favorite accessory because I can see the depths, I can see the drop-offs, I can see everything with this fish finder. And this model specifically is tiny, so it doesn't get in the way. I can still put anything around it, I can still fold it up if I really want to, but it's an awesome depth finder, fish finder for a kayak. Now the cool thing with kayaks is that, there we go. The cool thing with kayaks is that I can actually put the transducer through this compartment here via that hole I drilled. And it's silicone at the top usually when I have it actually in, so no rain or anything gets in here. And then I put the transducer right at the bottom, right inside there on the plastic, and it reads everything perfectly. It goes right through the hull of the boat, and it reads all the information perfectly except the temperature, so keep that in mind. The next thing I added was the GoPro mount. All I did was put a plumbing flange here and then attached this PVC pipe to another attachment here, which I can take my GoPro and put it on. And this is what the angle looks like, which I think is perfect because it justifies the size of the fish in front of my body, which is where I'm sitting right here. So it's awesome, I love it. And then this is cool too because I can remove this PVC pipe because these aren't glued in, and I can make it shorter or much larger if I really want to. And I think it's a great accessory, and it's awesome. FS12T does come with standard on deck hatch screw in here. So all this does really is I put my car keys in here. There's two scupper plugs in there. You can put some valuables in there if you really want to in case you flip. You don't have any room left in this one, which I mean you really should, because this is just, let's justify the size of this. I usually keep at least 2 tackle boxes in there, and the transducer's there, and there's a 12-volt battery on the inside of there that has no problem fitting in. So there's tons of room on this kayak. Of course, cup holder, standard for all you fishermen who like to drink when you fish, whether it's water, beer, Gatorade, etc. It's very important. Then I added in, way down here, just an anchor trolley that goes along all the entire boat. I didn't really use it that much this year because I added the trolling motor on, so I can really just, you know, motor to wherever I want and stay in one spot. And then of course there's the anchor cleat right there, just in case I did use it, I can cleat it in place and I'll stay there. I'll get to this, don't worry. And I have one of these crates here. It's awesome. I love this one too because it just goes over a milk crate, and it does hold my battery for the trolling motor. There's a little bit more space in case I need to put my lunch in there. And then it does have these 3 rod holders in addition to the 2 that are already on the deck. And I know there's no reels on these. I'm just doing it for the sake of the video, so don't you worry. I'm not gonna go fishing like that. But that's really important too, to have that, and a good crate for the battery. Here is the mount I made for the trolling motor. And this is more important than all the other stuff going on too. The mount I made, what I did was, I have these hinges. Now this hinge allows the trolling motor to actually fold up. It allows it to do this, because I can then access that handle when I want to put it on my car. And usually it's just me fishing, so that's super important. What I did was I took 2x4s, I took it and just put the same length of each one. I glued it to the inside, to this portion, but on that right there. I put it on there, glued it there, and then screwed with long deck screws into the boat itself, let it dry, glued it again and did it again, and then I mounted this piece of wood on top of it, and then I have the hinges attached there so it can obviously fold this way. And then just to brace some weight, I put another piece of 2x4 there, same, just put deck screws on it. And then for the trolling motor to actually attach to something, I did the same thing here and put 2 more pieces of 2x4 that it can clamp onto, because this is a transit mount, right? So it's not where you see on the boat where you can slide it out and it fits perfectly. You had to have some engineering and some ingenuity to actually figure this out. So now that I actually had it attached to this via the transit mount, I had to figure out how I'm going to steer. So that's what these wires are for too. And like, come to think of it, I'll probably turn it into, put tubing on them all next year, just because I don't know. I would probably like that better. But those run all the way up the boat. So what I did was I drilled holes here on each side of that through the boat and have these little eyelets. Let's see, I'll show you a better view of it. These eyelets that the wire can run through so it's not flopping everywhere. So those eyelets, and then it goes, again, it guides through those, goes through here. I have tubing, so it doesn't really affect the plastic there. It goes right through the tubing. And then you guys, I hope you know where I'm going, all the way up to these. Now this is the adjustable feet pedals, I guess. I don't know really what to call them. So you can adjust these on normal kayaks. You can put them to shorter or longer, depending how tall you are, so you get leverage in your paddling. What I did was I took out the clasp, the locking mechanism where it fits into these holes. I took it out, so when I did that, now they can freely go up and down these tracks all the way. So that brings me to the next point, and that's how I steer. So I'm sitting here, my feet are touching these, and when I push on one end, keep attention to the trolling motor, when I pull, or I guess push on the one end, it moves the trolling motor in the other direction, just based on the tension of the rope pulling one side and pulling the other side. So it's great. Hands-free fishing. It's the best thing I ever did with this kayak. So from this side, this is getting pulled into these eye bolts, and it goes right into the trolling motor directly. Now you can see I tried up here earlier, and I was like, you know what, better make it lower. And what I did was I usually zip tie this closed, so it stays like that. It'll stay all the way completely against my kayak, so I get the most propulsion out of it. So from here, this is what's being pulled by the wire. All I did was I took these I don't know, crimping brackets, I guess, and then I looped it around so it's pulling like this, and then it moves like that. Again, pulling like that, so it moves the motor in one way, or if it was the other side, it would move the motor in the opposite direction like that. So that's how that works. I have this one up here because when I'm in shallow water, this would be getting kicked non-stop, and it would just completely stop me in shallow water or get tangled up. So I have this here that's attached like that because it goes all the way up here, which is right behind me on this seat, and I can pull this, and when I pull this, it'll actually pull the entire motor all the way up. So, but I usually have this zip tied so it can be pulled like that. And then when it's actually pulled like this, it's out of the water, so I'm not gonna have any interruptions fishing. Keep in mind though, if you're putting a trolling motor on your kayak for fishing, it's gonna be hella heavy. Just keep that in mind before you do any of this. It's gonna be heavy. And where are you fishing? How long do you have to walk when you're fishing? Who's gonna be putting it in your car with you? Who's taking it home with you, etc.? It's heavy, so you guys gotta be careful in thinking to do this. I was a little ambitious in doing this, and I lucked out because I usually go with people fishing. I usually have my parents, my friends to put it on my car with me. So it's just something to keep in mind, this disclaimer. Now, how do I operate it? What gives me the ability to turn the trolling motor on from where I'm sitting? Ah, yes, the actual motor head. So if you see a normal trolling motor, I'll post a picture. This is a normal trolling motor. You have the top of it, which is the motor, and you have the long stem of it with a transom mount on it where you can adjust the height of it, and then the motor itself. Now in this, I took this apart, and you find a wire that goes all the way down to the motor. That's the thing I used, and I extended that wire. I put it through the boat here underneath this plumbing flange, and there's another metal bracket there. And this is all stainless, so it's not gonna corrode. And I drilled the hole, extended that wire all the way underneath into the back of the boat. Let's see if I can get it, picture of it, to right here, to right there. So that's where I actually made it come out. And what I did was I attached it to a clothes or a hanger, and then I fed it through all the way until I saw it, and then I pulled it out with some pliers so I can get that wire through. So this wire here that goes all the way up into the outlet plug that I made, that attaches here, so it can actually extend it, so I don't have to have it at the top of here, which where it normally would be right here. So I still control the speed from this. You can see in my videos again. Here's a video of it. I'm controlling the speed right beside me, and it's just simple forward, reverse, and then let's go forward. And you can see the motor spinning, slow it down, slow it all the way down, and fast. And this thing like really pushes you in the water. You can troll no problem. You can cruise a shoreline no problem. Hands free, just picking off all the points. It's awesome, I love it. And I can see the battery life on it if I have it off. I can tell how much battery I have left. So it's really important there because if I'm like halfway across a lake and I only have half battery left, I know I'm gonna have to get all the way back just on that half charge, so I gotta be careful. And then here, this is where it attaches to the battery. This I didn't touch. This didn't extend, didn't do anything. Just made sure I kept the battery close so I can plug it in no problem. Half of you will be saying, well, you know what? Kayaks are made just to paddle and enjoy the nature and beauty, etc. and do everything with like that. not to have a motor on it. What's the point of a kayak if you have a motor on it? Trust me, I've heard it before. The reason why I made it like this is so I can get from A to B faster than you can if you're on a kayak. And don't worry, I can still take it off. So all this stuff is detachable. So let's take that one off. Of course, let's take the other one off. Almost done. This outlet, I made it so I can unplug it. This is gonna be hard to do with one hand, so 1 second. Yeah, so it's hard to do with one hand, so just put it like this. I can take this off, no problem. Done. Now it's back in my boat like this. Have that done. I'll loosen these. I'll take this off, no problem. And then, look at this. You ready? You can take the trolling motor right off, and now I have the kayak that doesn't have a trolling motor on it, isn't nearly as heavy, and it's now just a kayak with no motor. Yes, I have that on there, but you'd be surprised, that thing's an awesome armrest. You wouldn't think you'd want one, but it's great. But yeah, so the trolling motor we're still on here, it can fold the way up, and there's more of a understanding of how that works. I can grab that, no problem. This doesn't get in the way. I usually have a net right there anyway, but it doesn't get in the way. It folds right back up if I want the trolling motor on it. Back down, no problem if I want that handle, if I'm bringing it past something. I do have the dolly, which is a huge important thing. It does come with the paddle holders, which is very nice because I don't use the paddle, so I want it out of my way. But legally, you're supposed to have a baler, a whistle, rope, a flashlight, a paddle on the boat at all times. So you do need to have it no matter what. And then I added in this adhesive measuring tape. Now, that thing's super important too because it justifies the size. If you don't have your GoPro, doesn't have anything else, it justifies the size of the fish. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you have all this room at the front of the boat. Usually keep tackle up there, camera gear. I'll put a tripod up there if I have some special filming to do. And then you have these rails on it as well. Now the rails are super important too because I can add in the ram mounts and have more mounts there, more rod holders, etc. If 5 wasn't enough, but it is, so I'm not worried. Anyways, I tried making this video pretty quick and entertaining the entire time. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. Ask me how I did something, if I can help you out with something, do anything else. That's how I did it. And I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Peace out.